So I wanted to share that I had an experience with Crystalyn Starr, who's going to be leading this talk today. I was curious. I'm quite a curious person. I wanted to see what this thing is all about that she's going to share today. So I'm going to tell my experiences afterwards and kind of let her just tell you a little bit about what it's about, and then I can share my experience. But yeah, this is Crystalyn Starr, and we're all excited to hear about this.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. If we haven't met, I am an empowerment coach. I am a psychic interdimensional healer, and I'm also a TVM pelvic floor practitioner. And TVM is what I am here to talk to you about today. It stands for Triple Vagal Method because it is truly something that has transformed my life. And I'm very, very passionate about sharing it. I quit my corporate job 7 years ago and started to travel the world. And that's when my spiritual awakening started and my healing journey started. I've been to every healer on the planet, worked with all sorts of modalities, got certified, and been healing people for the last 4 years. My psychic abilities opened, my gifts opened. I started to open other people's gifts, but every time we did that, there was always a block to manifestation, right? So all these people would realize how amazing their souls are and their big messages that they came here to deliver, but they couldn't embody it. They couldn't bring it in the body, myself included. I was very talented, very gifted, but I had a hard time building my business. I had a really hard time getting clients. And when I started to wonder why, because it got to a point where I was fed up, I'm like, I've done so much healing. Am I going to be healing for the rest of my life? It was actually my spirit guides that showed me that it's all about the body. It's all about coming back to the body and clearing space in the body, because the things we go through in life, all of our trauma, colors our lens of perception, and it takes up space in your body. So your higher self and your gifts and all these things are not able to come in and guide you and drive you to where you want to go. Think of it this way. Your body is a car. Your soul, your guidance, your gifts are your GPS. If you have the car and your GPS is not plugged in, how are you supposed to get where you're going? You don't know. But if you have the GPS and you don't have the car, so you have the map, but you're not really sure how to get there. And it's really about the connection of the two. So I found TVM. I got certified. After 6 sessions, my entire life literally shifted. I found my dream home. I was finally able to settle and actually commit, which is Playa del Carmen. My business grew by probably 200%. I have clients on waiting lists waiting to work with me. I'm happier than ever. I'm no longer anxious. I'm no longer chasing men. It's like my entire reality shifted and I'm finally here and I'm finally embodied. So what is TVM? TVM stands for Triple Vagal Method. It is a somatic trauma transformation method. It works with your nervous system to go in and complete your trauma responses that were not completed when the trauma happened. Okay? Let's take it 2 steps back. What is your nervous system? Why is it important to regulate it? And why is it important to complete these trauma cycles? As children, when trauma happens, when you perceive that something wrong that caused me discomfort just happened, for example, you got bullied in school, your parents told you you were not good enough, you felt a sense of abandonment, you didn't receive the love that you actually wanted to receive, and you don't know how to process that. I don't know how to express that gets stuck in your body. And it manifests in one of 4 nervous system responses. Fight or flight, you're either running away from it or you're living in anxiety and fear. You're frozen, you're stuck, or you're fawning, you're people pleasing, you're trying to keep everyone around you happy so that they like you. These are called survival mechanisms. It's like I am just trying to survive, to be liked so I can be here. As children, that is the way we think. That gets lodged into your nervous system. Your nervous system is the central channel in your body that is connected, that gives life, energy, electricity to every part of your body, your organs, your digestive system, your sexuality, your heart, your mind, all of it. When that's not running at 100% at full capacity, you're not running at 100% at full capacity. Things break down. So our depression, our anxiety, our lack of motivation, our ADD, our brain fog, our procrastination, not attracting the love of our lives, all of these things, eventually when we don't address our trauma, disease, autoimmune disease. Okay? A lot of us are living with dysregulated nervous systems, but because we're not educated about it, we don't realize that that's what's doing. When this trauma builds up, it colors what we call your lens of perception, the perception in which you see the world, right? So this is why when you have one situation, two people can perceive the same situation in a completely different way. One person can get triggered and angry and your system gets hijacked and I can't believe they did this to me, and you're pondering about it for days and you're resentful and you can't forgive. And another person can be like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And they can move on, right? Because their system, their nervous system is calibrated to translate safety in a very different way. Okay, so when that happens and we have this trauma and we go into these responses, fight, flight, fawn, freeze, and we don't complete it, we don't come back to safety, your nervous system's objective is to bring you back to safety. So it will always keep you in that fight or flight, in that freeze response, because it thinks that that's what safety is. Because in the past, you survived. So it translates that as survival, and it's not able to actually move you past that response. Okay? So you go on and you are not able to actually regulate and come to safety and manifest and do all these things. You're afraid of being seen. You're afraid of showing up. You're playing small. There's a part of you still stuck in that 5-year-old child, the 7-year-old child, the 10-year-old child that had all these traumas. Okay? So the other thing it does is that it overrides your prefrontal cortex. So trauma, when it happens, takes over your prefrontal cortex. It allows it to not function at the capacity it's meant to function at. So this is in charge of your logic, your rationale, and your reasoning. So again, you're not optimizing what you're doing. You're not optimizing your time. You're not optimizing the way you're running your business. So your nervous system literally affects everything that you do. So how can TVM come and help? And how can it actually support you to finish these responses, and why is it different? So when I work with the body, the beautiful thing is that all you have to do is lay there. You don't have to actually do anything. We're not talking. You're not going into the story. You're not going into what happens, because actually when we bring these things up, that can cause you to get re-traumatized. And I work with the nervous system and the intelligence of the body, and I touch it in different ways to tell it, hey, it's safe to complete these responses. You can go ahead now. So it will bring up a memory and I can feel it. I'm trained to know, oh, your system right now is engaged. It's in fight or flight. It's in response. It's in freeze. And then I can bring it to safety. So it's literally relearning. I'm retraining your body to understand, to rewire what safety feels like, what true safety feels like. Okay? And when you do that enough times, it's like a muscle that you train. So not only will it rewrite the trauma from the past and you feel safe, and when I say rewrite, we're literally recoding. This will literally delete that event from your nervous system. It's like it didn't happen anymore. You're no longer in survival mode. I'm signaling to your body that you have survived an event. And once you've survived, you can thrive. And that's the whole point. So how do we do that? How do we signal to the body that you have survived? We release a hormone called oxytocin, which is another thing we do in the session. That's your happy hormone that signals to the body you're safe. When you do that over an extended period of time within the session and over multiple sessions, your body starts to naturally go into a state of feeling relaxed versus feeling stressed. Because when we're in stress mode, when we have all this trauma eating up your energy, what hormone does stress release? Cortisol. Cortisol eats up oxytocin. If you have enough cortisol that eats up enough oxytocin, you go into oxytocin depletion and you go into disease and brain fog and ADD and all these things, right? So we then pump you back up. We regenerate. We literally regenerate, and we're able to open up new oxytocin receptors within your body so you can absorb more oxytocin. Okay? So when you do that, the body feels safe over an extended period of time. It opens, you're laying there, you're in bliss land during the whole session. I'm regulating your body knows what it's doing. It is releasing on a cellular level, on a DNA level. It's releasing your ancestral stuff. It's releasing from every part of your body, and you don't necessarily have to feel it. We finish all of these responses, and your body finally gets to a point of safety, and then it starts to manifest in your real life. So now that you've built that muscle, you know what safety is, because being in a regulated state all the time, that's not actually what healing is. That's not what we're trying to get to. Healing is getting dysregulated and then getting back quickly. The quicker you're able to get to a regulated state, because those spikes will always happen, right? We just want to get you back to regulated state quickly. And that's exactly what we're training your body to do. It's like a new programming. Think of it as coding, right? And then that's your new operating system. You're getting to regulated, so your triggers are gone. Like they're no longer there. So that's the thing. We take you from surviving to thrival. The best part, you get to see the manifestation in real life. And that was the biggest difference for me, because I've healed a lot. I've released a lot of emotions, but I wasn't going deep enough. I wasn't completing the responses. I wasn't going into safety. And only when you do that will you actually see your new reality start to manifest. So I'm very excited about it. I'm happy to answer any questions. I want everyone to try this because this has literally shifted my entire life. I'm happy to gift everyone a free masterclass that will teach you how to reset your nervous system with TVM for 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day can really, really help you if you're really curious to try it out. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And I would love to take any questions that you have.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I should. Yeah, that was really nicely explained, I think. I mean, maybe it's worth me sharing my experience of it from last night.
Yeah.
Because I'm still sort of learning from it now, if I'm honest.
You're still integrating because it just happened last night. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, so first of all, I will say that Crystalyn sets up the most beautiful space and facilitates in a really nice way. Because I think the big part of this is being in a place of safety. You know, when you're exploring childhood trauma, I think the one thing that has to be the case is that you're in an environment that's conducive with safety and security. And you set that up perfectly, the way you prepared the room and told me where to be. And so the experience I had of it basically was that it was a beautiful way of being with someone and them holding a space for me so I can start to explore what needed to come to the surface, basically. And I found it was quite an easy method for bringing stuff to the surface, actually, because I've done a lot of different methods of this, mental, emotional, spiritual kind of techniques of, practices. A lot of them I still use, but this one was just you laying down and really being held by someone else, which was very different to me, because I'm used to doing a lot of my own inner work on myself and not having someone there to guide me in that sense. But she was bringing stuff up by making simple movements with her hands. And it brought up more than I thought it did. You know, at the time it didn't feel like much was going on. And then afterwards, after I slept in particular, and I woke up in the morning, first of all, I had the best night's sleep I've had in like a year, you know. So that happened. And I woke up and then I felt like some things I felt a bit lighter. It's hard to explain, but there's definitely a lightness, like, some things that were annoying me at the back of my mind weren't quite there as much anymore, if that makes sense. So I do believe in this process, and I just had like a sort of a taster session, but I do recommend doing it because it's really easy. You just lie down. I think the main thing is you're giving permission for someone else to guide you, and as long as you're open to that and saying yes to it, I think then you can open yourself up to healing for yourself. So I love it, and I think it's something I do want to pursue. And Crystalyn is a great facilitator, I have to say. It's the truth.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. And you've touched on a couple of things. It's the fastest heating modality I found. It's the most potent, and it's the easiest as far in your body and your processing system. And it happens like that at a subtle level because we don't necessarily know what's coming up. It's this memory, it's this childhood event. You don't even have to know. You don't even have to go there.
It's a subconscious thing. Like I wasn't going into, like I do in other modalities, of the actual scenes in my childhood and going into the kind of picture. Like it's just got released, and I could feel some release happening, but I wasn't conscious really.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Right.
I didn't think that was possible actually.
You mean you didn't have to do like shadow stuff?
Yeah, I didn't have to go in and like, it was almost like the forgiveness process was me handing it over and saying,
like an intention of talking with her, I want to release this whatever stuff in the past. It doesn't matter
so the intention
what it was or whatever. It's just like an energetic release of some kind?
We talked about it. I asked him what his intention is, and he said, okay, these are the things I want to work on, right? So the body holds different types of emotions in different places. So I'm like, okay, so I will be mindful to really make sure that I touch the body right in these points. But it's also, once I tap into the body, it could be telling me a different story. He wants to work on these things, but the body right now is ready to release something different. It's a higher intelligence. And you guys, we have to understand that the body is so intelligent. This body, this is technology. The human body, it's a supercomputer. It's a technology. And that's why you notice I use words like rewiring, coding, recoding, because it is. We're working with the body as a technology, which other healing modalities don't, because it's all a code. When you delete a code, you bring in a new code. So typically at the end of the session, you'll go into such a deep, relaxed state for potentially an hour, depending on where your nervous system is. And every cell in your body is open and it's been released, and you're connected to the quantum field. And in that, we also guide you through a process of manifestation where you can then recode and start to pull in all these things that you've been trying to manifest. And now that becomes also your new operating system. And then that's the beauty of it. It happens suddenly. He wakes up and he's like, wait, like the things that used to annoy me don't annoy me anymore. I don't know why. I don't know this. I don't know that. I'm just in a good mood. Literally, that's how it works. Wait, the clients are coming.
The opposite of hypnosis? Like hypnosis, you're telling people, to do things. Here, you're like removing things.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to do anything. Yeah, I'm prompting the body. I say a lot of times they'll say you're safe, you're loved. I say whatever the body, because the body's communicating to me. Also,
just creating a space for it. The body knows when to release what it needs to release. So I feel like if you're not ready to release something, you won't release it yet.
You had a specific past trauma of something like whatever XYZ childhood thing that you could just feel dissipate.
It's not linked to anything.
That's like that's such a
linear way of thinking.
X happened to me. I went through the Y process, and now I feel Z. And it's like this is more holistic on like the.
It's more energy.
Yeah, Thank you so much for that. It's very non-linear. It's not like I have to know what I release to release it.
Like I've got some sort of trauma from like being rejected. So. I've got some experiences at school where I wasn't part of the cool gang of kids, and that created this idea in me about like I could be rejected and I'm worthless and all this. But that manifests in a certain way today, right? So it will affect how I show up in certain ways, and also affect how I feel about how people act, because I take it to mean more about that. So I noticed when I woke up, I was doing that less. That makes sense.
I have a question.
Yes.
So how is this experience in like sessions are different from hypnosis?
Okay, you're not going into a hypnosis state. I'm not putting you under. I'm not asking you to see anything. Hypnosis goes into your subconscious, right? It reprograms your subconscious. I'm working in your physical body. I'm working with your nervous system, because your nervous system is what is connected to everything, including your brain, including your conscious and your subconscious, right? So we're getting to the root cause. We're getting to where all the memories were actually trapped and held. So it's very, very different than hypnosis.
Conscious brain here, right? Because I didn't know what was going on. You just working.
That's
with my
it.
body.
Because
the body was communicating with her. I was like, what's going on, guys?
When we start to go into the story, we think that that's how we're trained to do shadow work and healing, but you're still engaging the mind, right? Your mind is thinking.
So your mind
is trying to make you go in an altered state. You go into you're so deeply relaxed that, like, if I asked him, hey, are you feeling okay? He'd respond. He heard me. He said yes, but he couldn't have a full conversation with me at the time. He was completely right. Like it's like you're high. Let me just, you're high. It's that bliss of like, oh my, everything feels so good. My body's so relaxed.
When you finished the session,
you're high.
I went to the supermarket and I was like walking around. I was
buy lots of chocolates?
No.
Oh.
No, water. But yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was like this feeling of bouncing around. Everything was a bit surreal.
Right, you feel like you're seeing.
It was like you were saying the veil had been lifted a bit. I can see what you mean by it being a right time for manifestation, because I did feel like was on the veil.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes. It's like you're seeing the world with new eyes. You're so sensitive. You're tapping into things differently. And when you do it enough times, imagine like your everyday, like
becoming like that. That's why I told you, be careful last night. And I actually told you not to go to the supermarket because you enter the state after the session when we say you're totally programmable.
anything that comes into your awareness at that time,
It gets coded, maybe.
that's it. So if you talk to your mom and you have a triggering conversation, you just recoded anger in your body, right? Like you're not helping yourself. So when I did the 2-week training that I did, the certification, you guys, I shut down everything and everybody. I said, my old life is no more, bye-bye. And it was constant manifestation videos, books about how to make $1 million, money, this, that. And sure enough, it's literally like all manifesting. That is all my reality. That's what I'm surrounded by. That's what my mind wants to have more of. I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I'm doing the exercises. Easy. Natural.
It was sort of nervous,
Huh?
I said it won't make you fun at parties.
Fun at parties.
Sometimes I feel like
So it's like a life hack. I'm sorry.
I feel like sometimes these things, like traumas we were talking about, if you're stuck in a fight or flight or
Mm-hmm.
freeze or fawn or whatever, you're not operating at 100%.
Exactly.
You know? And there's lots of them. There's like big traumas and little micro traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, through life.
Right.
From yesterday and from 10 years ago, from coming out of the womb, you know, everything. And so,
Yeah,
I would like to just like have all that stuff released to be able to be
Right.
free.
Yeah.
And that's possible. And that's the thing, is that everything that I've learned about healing up until that point, and maybe you guys can relate, is like healing is a process. It's this. You have to keep going. It's like they kind of paint this picture of like you're going to spend the rest of your life healing, like literally. And that's depressing to me. And that's literally. And that's why I seek to find TVM. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what kind of fucked up life is this?
Therapy is a good racket.
Right?
Done with all that, just like
I
my life
don't.
finally.
I want to live my life, and that's what led me. Is that that was one of my passion points. Is that I would not accept that as an answer from anything I read. I'm like, no, I believe that I exist in a reality where everything is possible. If that is the truth, which I believe it is, then there must be a way to break through all the stuff that is holding me back and finally move on, because I refuse to spend the rest of my life feeling 100%. And this is why I'm here talking about
It's
it.
cool to hear you so passionate about this.
Yeah.
And obviously it has impacted you in your life.
It's unbelievable. And it took me a while. The first, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
But I'm wondering, like, there are so many forms and shapes of therapy, right?
Yeah.
Just so many, we can like go on forever. Like, do you feel like this form of therapy is kind of like a life hack? Like, it gets you there sooner than like other forms?
Yes.
To, like, resolve your
Yes.
all of your issues.
Yes.
To be like a perfect human.
Yes, it's not a life hack. It's a quantum hack. And I call it superhuman. I'm actually going to start coining that. That's going to be my business, and what I'm going to build is that I'm creating superhumans.
Power and like
No.
being like,
No, but you know how you're trying
you
to
do
get
have a
to
part
like,
to play.
Yeah.
like find ways to like relieve your
Well,
trauma.
I think there are easier and quicker ways.
It sounds like it's very quick and powerful.
It's quick, it's effective, it's potent, it's the depth that it goes into. Like you said, if you processed one memory every time you went to a healing session, I mean, good Lord, how many traumas do we have? Like, that's why it would take so long. But with this, we're not going through the story and tell me what happened and let's go into forgiveness and all of that. It's like, I'm going to tap into the body, I'm going to create safety, and the body is going to run through the process. Again, the body is a supercomputer. It can do this really quickly.
Like how animals do.
Can we talk?
Like that, right? Where they just like immediately get rid of the thing.
And then it's gone. Right. They're not sitting there dwelling about.
Process information is
many
How
times
lions,
as
they
we
get in
do.
something, they shake and then boom.
Basically, we overthink the fuck out
We
of it.
overthink too much.
Right, we overthink it. And this, you let go, you shut your mind down, your body's intelligence takes over, you do all the work, we process all these things. And that's the thing, is that you start to see manifestation in your physical reality of things actually shifting. I literally did a video on Instagram this morning because I would wake up anxious for years, and I would wake up and I would like be crying and journaling and processing, and then I'm like procrastinating and I'm not getting anything done. And today I woke up, I did my meditation, I worked out, and I started to make my breakfast, and I found myself like singing and dancing and jamming and like singing a birthday song while I was like doing my blender, and I was just like in this super uplifted mood, and I kind of had to stop myself for a minute. I was like, who are you? Like, I've had so many of these moments. I'm like, is this real? I could not, that's how like depressed and miserable I was. Like, I could not have imagined that I would be the person in front of you now that's just like actually enjoying her morning and singing. I was literally celebrating making my smoothie like it was my birthday, and I was having the best day ever. Like, you have those moments. So when I talk about reality shifting, and literally there's still a part of me of like, is it going to end? Is it going to end? I'm really scared it's going. I even like messaged the person that I did my training with, and she's just like, no, like, this is your new reality. Like, welcome. And I'm like, this is fantastic. Otherwise, I would not stand here and tell you about it. Yes.
But like,
Does anyone else have
would you say like it's similar to The Secret? You know, that's all about manifesting your reality and bringing in your universe with the energies that you give out, right? Like, would you say it's like similar to that in a way? No. And in the way, right, like what we learned about The Secret and manifestation, it's a process, and you're still the one doing it. It's like, I have to know what I want, and I have to write about it, and I have to sit here and think about it, and then I have to release it and let it go, and then it comes to me, and then I also have to take some action, right? Like, it's a whole process. Again, you guys, you don't have to do any of that. You go to a session, you lay on the table, you let me do what I am trained to do and what I'm good at. You follow my instructions because I give you a protocol to follow after the session. And it's really simple. It's hydrate, get some sunlight, eat healthy fats, and be careful what information you bring into your field because you're highly programmable. And then that's it.
This may be appealing to a lot of people because of the ease.
It's so easy. And that's the thing. Again, we're rewired to say that healing is hard or life is hard. And it's like, no, like, what if it was actually that easy? And I know I couldn't wrap my head around it until I tried it.
Do you
right?
have to do like maintenance sessions every so often?
Yes. Amazing question. Thank you so much. Okay. This is a miracle cure, but it doesn't mean one session and you're cured. Okay. Like, let's be honest, because if you remember what I said in the session is that this is about retraining your nervous system, right? If you came to me, if I was a gym and you walked in and you said, I want to lose 25 pounds. Great. I'm going to say, come see me for 3 months. We're going to do this workout. You're going to build muscle. You're going to lose the 25 pounds. You do that 3 months, you're solid. Like, you've built the motivation. You get up every day. You go to the gym. Your body knows what to do. We rewired your metabolism, right? It's burning more on its own. All this good stuff is happening. Then you're good to go. As long as then you can maintain, right? Come see me once every 3 months. You know the protocol. I teach you different things that you can do to bring yourself to safety, to bring yourself to regulation. Also, how it varies is that the state that you're in right now, how much work have you already done? What kind of regulation, how regulated is your nervous system? Because someone can come see me and they're completely dissociated from their body. So when we say fight, flight, fawn, freeze, there's also something called dissociation when you completely leave your body. You literally exit your body, right? If someone is in that state, that's going to take us a little bit longer to be able to bring you back and regulate you and make you feel safe in your body versus somebody that's done all the work that doesn't have that much trauma. We can be done in 6 weeks, right?
That was something I wanted to ask about. So as far as like, this is something my wife and I talk a lot about with our children, like not imprinting them with trauma responses to things and
yes,
working through the emotional process and stuff
yes,
like that. would you say that this approach to therapy is akin to becoming a massage therapist, and that like you need someone trained in it that's providing it, or is there another side of the coin as well that's like an integration of this technology into daily life? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, can you kind of speak briefly on like at what part of it is an embodiment of you honoring your nervous system and how it operates so that you don't create those blocks that need to be removed, versus the therapy side, which is going to someone like yourself that's been trained in this to do the physical work within the body.
Yes.
To kind of differentiate those two.
Yes, that's a great question. And I will say at the beginning, you'll need to come see me because again, we're building that muscle, which we call vagal tone, right? Naturally, you want to be mindful, right? With anything that you do. But if you focus your mindfulness on what you're consuming, right? What happens is that it becomes easier to not respond in the way that you responded without you having to make an effort. It's not like, oh, I just got triggered. Oh, now I just want to react in this way so I don't have to re-trigger my nervous system. You don't even have to think about shifting your behavior. You find that you're just naturally acting in a different way. And you're like, how? Kind of like me with the blender dancing this morning. I'm like, I didn't have to be like, I'm going to get up and make myself happy and I'm going to sing and dance. No, my body naturally just did it. And it's like, I don't know why. I don't know how it led to that. Right. So it leads to that. I love that you mentioned that you have children, right? Because children carry all of our stuff. And this is great at healing intergenerational trauma, which is incredible, right? And you can learn certain techniques because I'm all about empowerment. So with this free master class that I have and what I show you to do, I show you different things to maintain between sessions. So as I'm training your nervous system, when you get triggered, so that you know exactly where you can go ahead and put your hand on your body to naturally bring you back down. You don't have to process or cry or go into shaking or journal, right? Lay there for 5 minutes, put your hand here. Your entire system goes like water. You're like this. No more responding. Now, you start doing that to your kids. Imagine now, right? You don't even have to bring them to me. I can just teach you, be like, when they're all crazy, put your hand here.
This version of crazy or this.
Right, or this version of crazy, right?
Security or this.
Right, put your hand here. Give them comfort. If you gave them a little bit of like TVM every day, that just now you are setting them up for such magical lives, right? And that's why we do it on pregnant women. We can do it on babies. Like it goes, right? It goes beyond just like us adults. Because the earlier we can start to treat the trauma, the better. And when we shift, when our DNA shifts, you're shifting 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. They're naturally receiving it quantumly without you really having to do anything, right? Because they're also learning from you and your behavior. If they see you reactive, if they see you stressed, they're absorbing that energy. You live in the same household, right?
So what's the difference between polyvagal and triple vagal?
So the Triple Vagal Method is built on the polyvagal theory. The polyvagal theory says we have the fight or it has identified the responses, the fight or flight, the freeze, the fawning, the ventral, and it talks about the cascade of like you're constantly going up and down and you want to come to ventral. So it's literally built, it has taken what the polyvagal theory is, which it helped us explain our nervous system and how it actually works. And we've built then a healing methodology around it of like, how do you move the body? That's just, I don't know. We can ask the creator of why they called it what they called it. But she's incredible. We're actually building on the polyvagal theory because we're realizing that it's not complete in the way that there's actually more responses in the nervous system that we have not tapped into. So I don't know who asked about the superhuman aspect of it. So we have fight or flight, fawn, freeze, ventral. We are now we're coining a term called fast and focused. Fast and focused. So that's when you are in, when they call it flow, right? Athletes call it when you're like working and everything is good and you're just zoned in and you can get so much done in like an hour. But like, how often are we really able to tap into that? You regulate your nervous system enough. You're able to be in ventral enough. This is where you're at. So when we're talking about superhuman, supercomputer, you're fast and focused because you've regained control of your prefrontal cortex. You're back in your body, you're embodying. The GPS is plugged into the car and then that's it. You take off. So when I talk about thriving, thriving. Like you take off.
This process helps you. I'm sorry.
No,
this process helps you to assimilate in a better way the exposure to new negative situations that they cannot be coded in our body once again. How
Yes.
does it work on the long run for new negative experiences?
Yes. Non-reactivity. Non-reactivity. Because what is negative? What is trauma? Let's define trauma. Trauma is not the event that happened, right? Because I can ask you, tell me about your trauma, and you can tell me something major. You can be like, I got kidnapped. That's
It's
a trauma, right?
That is as a
Exactly. Or I could be like, Andy, what is trauma? You're like, well, when you walked and touched me without my consent and you did this, that was hard for me. That traumatized me for me, right? So it's our perception and interpretation of the event that is happening. It's not about the event that is happening, right?
All those other therapies are just telling that event again and retelling the
Right.
story.
It's like, let's talk about the event again. Let's talk about, okay,
which
but
then just solidifies it.
you're like, oh, this happened.
You end up, you're reliving the trauma.
You're reliving.
Recoding it, basically.
Yes. So it's just, again, it's completing the response. It's like, yes, where do you get stuck with this response? I'm in fight or flight. Okay, let's complete the loop. Think of it as a loop. Okay, now I'm going to bring you to safety, right? So now we no longer, when someone doesn't invite us to the party, right? As a child, when you didn't get invited and you're like, but I was left out and I was rejected and no one loves me. So I'm going to sit in my room and I'm going to hide and I'm going to close my heart and I'm not going to make any friends because no one loves me, right? And then as an adult, you're like reserved. You don't go out. You work a lot. You want just to stay busy so you don't feel like, like you feel left out. We do all these things to cope, right? So what happens is once we complete that and you bring that back to safety, that didn't happen. You never got rejected. So now there is no reason for you to not want to hang out with people. There is no reason for you to hide. And all of a sudden, everybody's inviting you to things. You used to get like no invitations from people. We all know like what that's like. All of a sudden, everybody wants you to come to their events and then you feel safe going. And then we call it tipping the scale. The more you go, you accept that first invitation and then you're like, this is cool. People like me. I'm getting along with everyone and I'm making friends and la la la. So that solidifies it, that anchors it more. It's called building evidence that I am really safe, right? So now it starts to register, right? It's like me waking up and being like, but is it going to end? Right? Because I am used to not feeling safe for an extended periods of time, right? And you get that high after a healing session, but then you come back into the trauma again. So there's still a part of me that doesn't fully believe that this is now my new reality, even though there's a part of me that's shouting it from the rooftops, right? What is going to solidify that for me? The more days I get up and I'm having the best time making my breakfast, then it's like, oh my God, no, it's actually not going to end. Oh my God, they like me. Oh my God, another invitation. Oh my God, more friends. And then that's it. Then it's not even like a thought that you consider anymore, right? Because you've built enough evidence that I'm in a new reality now.
It becomes a new normality.
New normality. Exactly. Right?
You've been doing this for 4 years actively, as far as like doing this therapy in the community. I know you studied it like 7 years ago, right?
No, so I've been on my own healing journey for 7 years. I've been healing other people with other modalities for 4 years. I've been receiving this therapy for the last 6 months, and I got certified a couple of months ago. What's interesting is that once I started to receive it, I realized, because I told you guys, I'm psychic and I'm a channel. So all my work with my clients has always been intuitive. I'm able to read people's soul blueprints, see where there's misalignment and align it. When I heard about TVM for the first time, what I realized is that I've been doing TVM on my clients for 2 years.
Without the rhetoric.
Without the word. I'd never heard of it. And I'm like, oh my God, all these places I was touching people and I was just intuitively touching people. That's TVM. Now that I can finally put the words and the science behind it, incredible. Like I'm able to take off. And this is another layer also that I want to say about this is that TVM on its own is incredible. The layer I bring to it because of my psychic abilities and my abilities to really read and see energy, I am literally in communication with the body, right? I can see, because, with TVM, when you get trained, like you're sensing and you're putting your hands here and you know that this organ holds this and holds that. But like, I'm actually seeing what this organ is holding. I am communicating. I had a whole conversation with the inner child yesterday, right? And we talked about it and he told me what he likes to do and he told me how he wants to be supported. And he didn't have to do any of it. I did all the work for him and I brought his inner child to safety. So then I am also, me as Crystalyn, I'm adding another layer to it because of other gifts that I have that make it even more potent. And then after the session, I can give him the whole download and I can be like, okay, this is what your body is saying. This is what your inner child needs. This is what your treatment plan for the next 4 sessions. These are the things that we would work on. And then I would know exactly where to go in the body and like boom, boom, boom. We can just get it done. It's really incredible.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yes.
Really
Thank you so much for hearing me and receiving this so well. And I just want everyone to become superhuman. That's going to be my new mission. That's now going to be my brand, is just turning everyone, because I believe that's who we came here to be. That's who we were before we took on all these traumas and all these things. So if you're curious, if you have more questions, come and let me know. If you share your email with me, I'll give you the masterclass so you can start to do it on yourself and just see how it feels. And yeah, I'm happy to support you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Nice.